So this is the new expanded lamination facility. They added about 3,600 square feet with the complexity of all the new pieces, especially the new integrated hardtops with the windshields. It actually, it's 2 days to build each hardtop. So wondering where the expense comes from in these boats. You can see just this lower portion of the hardtop. They hand lay the resin, and then the top portion of the hardtop, they hand lay the resin. And you can see the dark spots in it. There's actually different weights used in different areas to mount different accessories, where it's going to be structurally secured, where there may be an antenna, maybe an outrigger. They add a lot of different materials so you don't crush any of the fiberglass or the core material that they vacuum bag in there. So after they vacuum bag that top, and then they hand lay this top, everything goes together the second day, and it gets vacuum bagged again. So there's actually a 2-day, 2-time vacuum bag process to make sure all the resin is pulled through the fiberglass. And again, you can see the heavier weight PVC put in there, again, to protect things from getting crushed when you're installing accessories. So you can imagine if they're taking this much time to build a T-top, what goes into their hulls, which we'll move into that down the line here so you can get an idea of the materials that they use and the processes they use to put it all together. This is the console.
Console with the addition of, especially with a lot of cars, with the addition of the share shade and all of the features on the top side. You notice that most of some of the pedals off the pedals, legs on the top of the supporter. We're not doing that. We're cantilevering it out, even with all the share shade and all of that.
And once we get over to the hull section, I'll pick the video up again so you can kind of see the process that goes in, the different mats they use. You can see all the chop strand machines. They blow through the gun that automatically mixes it with resin. That way you can get a more consistent finish on it. And you know, the less resin and glass ratio you use, the lighter the part, and actually the stronger it is too. You don't want to get too much resin in there, it makes the part weaker. It's pretty cool stuff. Resin infusion on the 41 on the stringer grid. And they're going to start moving it down to the rest of the boats too. But here's a quick diagram of why they do things. That resin transfer molding, 2-side finishing, less weight, more structure, and then the vacuuming gives you a lot better mixture of resin and fiberglass. Again, the perfect amount of resin and fiberglass makes a better structure. But you can see the complexity of the stringer grid and the system they use to vacuum bag it. And that is, again, to reduce the weight. With adding the new 425s last year, they had to figure out a place to reduce weight. So they picked the biggest, most strong structural piece of the boat and did some vacuum bagging. So you can see the mold. They start hand laying it and then bag it, and it turns into a finished piece. But that is what makes Regulator such a great boat. That is the skeleton, all the strength, all the structure, providing support to the hull, making these things ride like tanks on water. More sections of the hull, just so you can see the geometry and the complexity of it. To get these things vacuum bagged and sucked in, and it's a big deal. With resin infusing, they got 500 pounds out of the stringer just by doing it in the vacuum bag process instead of hand laying it. It's a good example of hand laying on the hull sides. And as you can tell, they use all core materials, phenolics, no wood. And if you couldn't tell, everything on these boats is engineered to the finest point. I mean, they use different fiberglasses depending on the need in the boat, and it all adds up to a solid build. There's a guy spraying. You can see that sound deadening material on the whole sides. It does add some structure and strength. And then the putty and the running strakes. And all that adds up, again, to a solid ride. And you can see the quality difference from impacts. They have some examples of these holes. They've had some pretty serious impacts and they've still stayed together. Another example.
Construction on your whole sides there. All your keels and your chines are overlap 4 to 6 inches. Your strakes, your lifting strakes, we're putting 2 layers of structural glass in there at 1708. They taper it, so it's an 8-inch and a 12-inch strip.
You can see how many people are involved in the build process too. Again, these are truly handmade boats. So earlier you saw the stringer grid upside down still in the mold. This is one of the grillage or stringer grids removed. This looks like a 25-28 maybe. But they pull it out, flip it over, and see how well it's finished. And then they're gonna lift this up and drop it right inside of that hole mold up there. And then they'll chemically bond it and physically bond it as well. Pretty cool to see it happen. Hopefully we'll see a stringer grid or grillage in the hull down the line here. One of the last boats in the line right now. Just got finished skinning it out with the skin coat on top of the gel. Pretty impressive how big this thing is. We'll go get a walk around of the finished 41 down at the dock here in about 2 hours, and we'll take it out in sea trial, see how she runs with the standard Seakeeper, all the 2020 upgrades, and the new quad Yamaha 425 XTO setup. Should be pretty cool. There's decks and stringer grids that are finished, and then grinding booth over there cleaning up all the edges as they come out of mold, and then they bring it to a final room to finish everything. Make sure all the corners, gel coat, finishes, all that stuff is good. It's a pretty well-oiled machine. Got a lot of boats going on at one time. Here's some more informational stuff over here. But again, grinding booth where the holes and stringers go together.
Any questions?
Some benefits of the Regulator product. And then kind of how they bond, like I said, chemically bond that stringer into the hull. Kind of shows you that process of going in, why they do what they do with their stringers, foam filled, finished, solid boat.